Hey guys, this is Xavier with Gotta Be Mobile, and this is the Sony RX 100 M4. This is a 4th edition of the RX 100 series, and something I've really been looking forward to getting my hands on. I am a huge fan of Sony's compact cameras. This is the Sony RX 100 M3 on top of it here, and like we've seen in previous years, Sony's just gone ahead and updated it with a better sensor, a few more bells and whistles, but it's essentially the same camera body. And before I open this one up, I just want to show you this camera here, and you'll see that how I know this is a good camera is that it is pretty beat up. You'll see that there's marks here, there's some dents on the top of it, and that's because I use this camera so much. Even though I have a whole bunch of professional DSLRs, I have my iPhone of course, I have options, but this is a camera I carry around day to day, including at trade shows if I just need to do some point and shoot work or record a quick video. The image quality is just way ahead of anything else that you can get out of a phone, and it's way ahead of just about every pocketable camera. As you can see, it fits in my hand really nicely. It's smaller than a phone. You can take here like this Galaxy S5 just for comparison purposes, so it can definitely fit in your pocket, and it gets rid of that excuse of not carrying a real camera. So love my experience with this guy. Now I'm going to go ahead and shift over to the newest edition. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up, and inside you've got a warranty card. You've got 4K notices explaining 4K movies. If you don't know what 4K is, that's basically the next resolution after 1080p. A lot of monitors and HD TVs that are coming out are going to be 4K, and so with the new camera, your resolution from what you're shooting will match what's on TV. You should probably think about 4K recording even if you don't have a 4K TV yet. Now, one of the limitations of this guy is that it is only allowed to record 5 minutes of 4K video at a time, and then it will time out, and that's because processing 4K video just takes a lot more muscle, and this camera just doesn't have that muscle yet. You have a little notification here about how to use the one-touch NFC. That's primarily for Android phones, and it looks like some accessory guides. So if you look at Sony's cameras, at first glance it'll look like a normal old point and shoot, but this camera is professional grade. A lot of professionals do carry around a camera like this in their pocket, even at professional events, just in case the primary or secondary DSLR goes out of order. And it looks like we have a couple offers of Capture One Express. Capture One is a piece of software you can install on your computer for managing photos and capturing direct to your computer. And if we open this up, here is the camera itself with a little hang tag attached. What is this telling me? It's just describing the specifications. So one thing that you will see here is it's a 20.1 megapixel camera, and megapixels don't tell the whole story, but it is an indication of how many pixels you have to work with for editing. And you'll see something that's really important for people that are using this for sports or for even catching kids running around is as a high shutter speed of 1/32,000th of a second. So that's incredibly fast for a point and shoot camera. It only zooms 24 to 70 millimeters just like its predecessor, so you get about just under 3 times the zoom, which is not very much if you're going to try to take a picture of, say, your kid running around playing soccer out in the middle of the field. For that, you're really going to want to go with a DSLR. 4K, as I mentioned, it's the next generation of video capture, so if you want your videos to last the test of time, you really need to think about shooting in 4K. But for most people, if you're just uploading something to Facebook, you probably don't need a camera like this to capture it. One little thing that's a bit gimmicky is that it has a super slow-mo capture mode that lasts for just a couple of seconds, so you can slow stuff down by 40 times. It's a gimmick. It's not something that you're going to use every day, but it could be. You could try doing something artistic with it. But you know, this is a real camera that can fit in your pocket. It's something that's really nice build quality. Every time I let somebody take a picture of me or my family, or just borrow the camera for a little while with the RX 103, they can instantly tell it's a lot different than the camera that they use in their pocket. So as you can see side by side, nearly indistinguishable. The only differences on the left side on my old camera is that I have a little filter or a screen protector on it. I have one on order for this one. And speaking of the screen, one little nice thing that you can do with this camera that I've really enjoyed with the old one is that you can flip it up and the screen can go out this way so you can view it whether you're holding the camera up, say for example at a concert, over somebody's head. If you're taking pictures of kids, you can lower it so you can get your camera on the same level as a child while still seeing the LCD. And another huge difference between these cameras and the standard point and shoot cameras that most people will buy is that it has an actual flash that elevates, and you also get a real viewfinder. So if you turn the camera on and pop it up, you can view through here. Now I say real, that's not the same as a DSLR, but you do get a lot more control. This is especially important in brightly lit conditions. You can sometimes sort of lose what's in your viewfinder on the back of an LCD. You can actually see it much better through here, and that's because if you're in bright sun, this becomes a reflective surface just like it would on your iPhone or Android device. Going around the phone a little bit more, or the camera a little bit more, there's a few other pretty nice features I love about this camera and its predecessor is that you have a function ring on the front of the lens. There's a bunch of cables on here that can be hooked up, including HDMI out. So if you just want to sort of show pictures or video from the day, you don't have to transfer it to your computer or do anything fancy. Just plug in a mini HDMI cable on this end, regular end HDMI on the other to your television, and you're good to go. Another really key thing that I absolutely love about this series of cameras is there's a little input. It's micro USB. That means you can use most phone chargers with this camera. There is no need for carrying around an extra charger. In fact, all you get with Sony is this guy, just like a little USB charger. But you can use any USB charger, such as the one that you have in your car, to charge your camera battery. Now, what else do we have in here? This is the battery it comes with, the BX1. One really nice thing that Sony has done is they've stayed consistent with the batteries. So if you're upgrading from an older model and you've invested in batteries, you don't have to start from scratch. So let's go ahead and pop this one in there. And here is the SD card slot. And you'll see there's a little arrow here to get the battery locked in. And it looks like that one is not charged, so I'll bring over one from my older camera. But that's pretty much it as far as what's in the box. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. The real magic happens with this camera when you actually start using it, and you'll pretty quickly start realizing by the results that this is not a normal pocket camera. Now, a lot of my friends and family ask me whether or not it's really worth buying a camera that's this expensive. The answer is it depends on your budget. This is a pretty darn expensive camera. It's $948 on Amazon.com right now, which is where I bought it from. The pro shops such as B&H Photo also sell it for just about the same price. And the truth of the matter is it's an expensive camera that you get what you pay for sure. By professional standards, it's very cheap when you compare it against cameras that have multiple lenses and a bunch of accessories, some of which can cost several times the price of this camera itself. But for me, what I'm really buying with this for $948 is not having to lug around a DSLR especially when I have my hands full or I'm trying to be highly mobile. Is it worth $948 for somebody that doesn't care about photography? Absolutely not. But people end up changing their minds about whether or not they really care about photography. And one of the things that will cause people to want to get more serious about a quality of their pictures is if they have kids or adopt a new pet. And this camera just blows any smartphone and blows any other point and shoot camera out of the water. If you don't look closely at it, if you're not a photographer, you probably can't tell the difference between the pictures from this versus a DSLR. And in a lot of cases, using this camera, if you're occasionally into photography and you're willing to get into settings a little bit, you might get better results from this from any sort of DSLR. And that's because there just is so many things that can go wrong when you're shooting with a DSLR, in terms of using the wrong lens, not having stuff set up correctly. For people that are just trying to get really high quality photos, especially in low light, and are willing to get into it a little bit, this is an excellent camera, and I'll be posting a full review of this phone, or I keep on saying phone, I'll be posting a full review of this camera shortly. This is Xavier with Gotta Be Mobile, and this is a Sony RX 100 M4.